Welcome back, guys. This is the second part of how to open doors for opportunities, where Amanda May and I talk about all the different ways that entrepreneurs can look around them, see around them, open those doors to opportunity, and how they're already there with you. So let's get back into it.
I think another part of what I often hear you talk about is massive action. And that massive action is necessary in order to jump on opportunities while they're hot. You have to be able to see an opportunity and take it. So, I actually early in my entrepreneur career, I took a course. It was like a 12-week course, I think, and it was called Massive Action Planning. And it was all about taking action. And part of the course was you had to take daily action, and then you were accountable for that action, as a group. There was 15 of us or something, and
Nice.
in each one of them. So it was very cool, but helped you kind of get a direction set and then taking action toward it. So I took that course early when I started in the entrepreneur space. But that being said, that massive action is where you get out of your head and you're just like, I'm doing it. I'm going for it. Like being at Jethro and signing up for Arte.
Yep, exactly.
That's taking action. You felt it, you did it. Opportunity's hot. Let me go there. So let's dive in a little bit to how somebody knows the opportunity's hot and taking action, massive action toward opportunities while they're hot.
I hate to say you'll know, but if there's something that comes across and you're like, oh, that's a cool opportunity, or that, oh man, that would be awesome, or whatever. Those times are very quick. They're like little whispers. Hey, here's a little door that's open. And if that little door is open, you got to kick that bitch in and introduce yourself. You have to push yourself through it. I mean, so let's go back to the beginning of our relationship. Because you did the same thing. There was that opportunity and you're just like, you know what? I'm going to try and do this. And insert your business into ours. Pretty much. So how is that like?
I brought my big Amanda May sign.
Yeah, you brought your big ass fucking Amanda May sign. I mean, this thing, guys, was fucking 6 feet long. It was taller than me. And I was like, where the fuck are we gonna put this? She wanted to put it in the fucking on the door. I'm like, no, we're not fucking putting that giant ass 6-foot sign on the fucking front door. You take this home.
I still have it.
Yeah, you do.
It came with me.
You got to put it on the office. Yeah, that's a cool shit. You got to put it on your office, office wall.
That was the outdoor sign to my first retail center.
Yeah.
So I was like, I
I paid $5,000 for this. I'm keeping the bitch forever.
I didn't keep the rugs and things though. Okay, so yeah, so you want to go back to me taking action on our.
Well, when you saw an opportunity,
yeah,
and you took the chance. So what is that? What did that look like? What were you thinking about? How? What went through your mind, and how did you essentially do what we're talking about right now? You seized that fucking opportunity.
Yeah,
Carpe diem to the motherfucker.
Did. So I think there's a quote by Russell Brunson saying yes in life is a lot better than saying no, or you get a lot more by saying yes than you do by saying no. And so I think around my 33rd birthday, I had went to Peru and did this whole spiritual travel trip and just kind of reset my life. And in that time, really felt like I was just going to start saying yes to opportunities that were presented to me and see what happened. And just be open to whatever might come from saying yes. And so I think that really opened me up to just see every relationship or anything that came to me as something that could be amazing.
Yeah.
And so
essentially you just copied a Jim Carrey movie. Yes, man.
Oh, I don't know. I've never watched that.
Have you never seen that movie?
No,
oh, that's literally the whole concept of the movie, where he gets, he says no to absolutely everything, and then he gets hypnotized to only say yes to
and then it turn out amazing.
It turns out amazing and shitty at the same time, but because he can't say no to anything, so anything that they has to say yes to.
That sounds like a good movie. I need to watch it. And I've been in business for many years and had my own brick and mortars. And, when it comes down to it, having a staff and what I was doing in the beauty industry takes a high level of skill and talent and training people. What I was experiencing is I would spend a year and a half training people to be, I mean, I can't say as good as me because I had so many years ahead of them of experience, but to a level that was good, that then they would leave. And I'm like, I have to start all over, And so, and then the other thing that I realized in having my own locations was I branded it Amanda May Beauty because one of my coaches was like, you are the branded Amanda May, so I was like, okay, because I was going to call it something else. But I guess I had done enough, noteworthy things that they felt like, my name should be on the door. So I was like, okay, so I'll do that. So I think the other problem with that was nobody wanted to go to anybody but me.
Yep.
And so then I'm like, I have to convince our clientele that we have other people that can service them just as well.
Yep.
But they didn't feel that way. They were like, no, I want to see you. I want to see you.
Exactly.
So that left for a tricky dynamic between the team the team members I had, and I would be traveling or whatever, and then the business would be slow because I wasn't there to service people. But I'm trying to convince people to go to my other team. But then they're like, I didn't really like the way she did that, so then they want to come back to me. And so, yeah, so doing that across 3 locations at one time, I was like, this doesn't feel scalable.
Right.
2020 hit, everything was shut down. Aesthetics is not, although I think it's a necessary thing. The government did not feel the same.
Yeah.
And so, the businesses, we had to shut the businesses down. And so during that time, it left me an opportunity to see it as an opportunity. And that's when I started creating online training programs, because I was able to, people, one, had a ton of time and they were getting money from the government. And so I had a lot of people asking me for virtual training.
Yep.
And so I created this whole online training platform and program and started offering training nationwide to people that wanted to do what I was doing. Almost kind of like a mastermind, although I didn't really put them in a whole group together, which might have actually been a good idea. But anyway, I didn't. And so 2020 left a reset. Like, let me go more online, virtual. Let me teach people how to do what I'm doing so they can go open their own, whatever their name is. And at that time, I met Dr. Willardson, which now the late Dr. Willardson, sadly to say, but when I met him, he had a dental practice, beautiful practice, and half of the building he wasn't using. And so that was an opportunity. He's like, come in, you create a high morale for our team members by, if they want services, give it to them. You don't have to rent the space. I'm going to give it to you for free.
Nice.
I was like, great. That's an awesome.
Yeah.
That's an awesome trade-off.
Absolutely.
So I would do like cool events and training classes because he had a clinic full of women. So it was like I would do makeup class, teach them how to do their makeup, do their eyebrows, do their skincare. And that was my payment for using this space. So I could have my classes, my in-person classes, and then also take my clients in there. But I knew that wasn't long-term.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to build something bigger again.
Yep.
And so, I think I had a couple options. I could go fully the virtual training route, which was something I considered because there's really low to no overhead, and really good money to train these services. Or I could start to expand again. So when we met, it was like, okay, well, maybe there are some aspects of what I do that we could offer within Genesis. And then I could kind of be the head of aesthetics or the head of advanced skincare. And we could roll this out across the multiple locations that Genesis had. But again, I kind of ran into the same thing when it comes to scalability and accountability. It was difficult to do when you're talking about something I had spent 20 years learning how to get good at,
Mhm.
to try to take someone off the street and teach them how to do advanced skincare, using modalities like fibroblasts,
Yeah.
which can cause a lot of damage if somebody doesn't understand the anatomy of skin. Um, and yeah, so it was like, how do I create something bigger again, something bigger than myself? And when we met and I realized that the services I offer are kind of like one-man services.
Mhm. Mhm.
And unless I wanted to do virtual training forever, but even with that, I saw that as something that it's very trendy.
Yep.
The market is very trendy. Certain types of eyebrow tattooing is very trendy.
Mm.
It's going to last a couple years and there's going to be a new trend. So I'm going to constantly have to evolve that into something different. And I thought, with what we were doing with Genesis, it made more sense. And there was a part of Genesis too that I love the business. I love running. I have two aspects of myself. I love running business. I love entrepreneurism. I love making money. And like not afraid to say I love money. Like some people feel like that's a bad thing, but money's good.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, and it gets me excited to think about how can I make money and what can I do to make money and
Absolutely.
and what can I offer that's valuable people want to pay for. But then I also do like the creative side of it. I like the beautification side of things. And so when we met and it was like, let's see what we can do together, and then we realized what I was doing wasn't really scalable. Um Among all the clinics and to go as far and fast as we wanted to go with the company, it was like, okay, I see this as an opportunity to do the things that I love. And no, it's not my business where I'm making 100% of, what I was making before, but it's an opportunity to come alongside something that would be bigger than what I could build on my own.
Mhm.
And not only bigger, but also I could have more impact than what I could have just doing kind of my own little thing. Um, and yeah, I could live comfortable, but I don't want to live comfortable forever. I want to live in abundance, and so it's like seeing that too. And so seeing kind of what your vision was as an opportunity to be able to come in and have my vision also fit within the
Mhm.
Genesis vision.
Mhm.
And I think that's what gives me the ownership mentality when it comes to this company. I'm not an owner, but I certainly treat it like it's my business.
Right.
And I approach my position and everything that we do like I own it. And so, I think all of that plays into it. That's a very long answer to your
I
question.
forgot what the question was, like, halfway through that. That was good, though.
Hopefully somebody listening got something valuable out of all of that. If you did, leave a comment,
Yeah,
okay?
there you
So
go.
I know
There
that
you
my
go.
rambling was not in vain. But yeah, so that was a pivot, going back to what we were talking about. It was a pivot. It was a change in what my original plan was, but it was an opportunity that as I saw it and we moved toward it, and even after meeting, there have been some pivots, with the types of services or even the roles that I've fulfilled within the company. And, and I've had to be persistent, because there is a um like long game that's being played with Genesis.
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur with my previous business, there was a lot more immediate gratification because, I had certain things that I could do quickly and, it was smaller. So I could do things quickly. I could make decisions in a certain way, the way that I handled money or, things like that. Like, yeah, there was a little bit more immediate, but that wasn't going to be as lasting. So there's some persistence in the process. And, again, very long answer, but you have to look beyond the immediate and you have to stay persistent in it, no matter what you're doing, whether you're an entrepreneur or if you're taking your entrepreneurism into another business, like what I did,
Mhm.
and what we're doing together. It's, you know, eventually things come around and are bigger than doing anything alone, which is a common quote that you share. Go
Yeah,
far, go together.
absolutely. And I think a lot of people are closed off into looking into opportunities that are really just right in front of them. A lot of times opportunities are right in front of you and in plain sight. They're not hidden and anything like that. So train yourself to see beyond what is like the obvious, the big picture. Like you said, you joined us, you thought it was going to be Amanda May spreading across the country, and then you pivoted, and now you're part of Genesis and growing, and it's going to pay off and all that stuff. But the opportunity that was there was right in front of you. You just decided you had to pivot, you had to be adaptable in the process of it. When I was in Arete, I also met another entrepreneur named Charles Covey, and he said something to me that really stuck with me to this day. And as just an entrepreneur that's starting out, trying to think of ideas, he told me, and I don't have time to do this anymore, but at the very beginning, and even now I do it to a degree, but at a lower level in terms of amount of time that it takes. He said that every day you should come up with 2 to 3 business ideas. Like just write down 2 to 3 ideas for businesses and then start to write down different ways that you would start that business, different ways you would build that business up. So start with just writing down the idea, and then the next step is like, how would I do that? And he said that will train you to start to get into the mindset of an entrepreneur, start to get into the mindset of building a business. Now it's changed as we grow to, what are the businesses that we work with? Like, what are the vendors? What are our cost of goods? Things like that. And how would we build that business? So, for example, that's how the pharmacy came about. Hey, we got high cost of goods in pharmaceuticals. The service isn't great. The quality is up and down, up and down. We wrote, like, this is one of the things we need to do. How do we build it out? The PRP company. Okay, we're using all these PRP tubes. They're really expensive. How do we lower our cost of goods for PRP tubes while still creating a very high end product? That was one of the businesses we wrote down. Is like, okay, how do we figure this out step by step? And so now it's like, okay, what are the businesses in our vertical that we should be trying to attack or trying to figure out? But at the beginning, it was like, just write down ideas. Like, how do you build Andy always talks about a butterfly farm. If you want to be the best fucking butterfly farm on earth, like, how can you do that? Know fucking everything about butterflies, research butterflies, build a butterfly website on education, a butterfly YouTube, butterfly Instagram, butterfly fucking t-shirts. Like, everything that you do, live, breathe, sleep, eat, drink, should be about those fucking butterflies. And so the next step would be that, like, how do you create a butterfly farm for cultivating the growth of butterflies, sort of thing. So all sorts of businesses just start to brainstorm and write down, and then you say, how would I do this? And test it. Now you could put that thought into ChatGPT and say, how would you build this? And AI will spit out like steps on how to do it. You go on YouTube and research it. How should I build this? And that's what that really changed my mindset when it came to business in general, is that you don't learn by just sitting around and being like, well, it might come to me, or the opportunities might come to me. It's like, you go and create those opportunities and then look for the opportunities that are right in front of you in plain sight. It was an opportunity for you, to be a part of Genesis. Like, how can we work with Amanda? How can she have this joint venture? How can we profit from each other? And then now it's developed into other things as we go. And so those opportunities are in front of you. They're in front of you right now. And if they're not, it's because you're sitting at home on your couch not looking for those opportunities. Go out and start looking, and your reticular activating system that we've talked about before, it will start looking for opportunities for you. If you're always looking for opportunities, or thinking about what's the opportunity, or writing down opportunities, or thinking about business, guess what? Business is going to start to pop up around you. Opportunities are going to start to pop up around you. And that's when you'll be able to, step into that and say, okay, let's go.
Yeah, it's being proactive. It's fine. I would say, if you're listening and we're guys kind of reiterating everything we've talked about, but it's being proactive in the sense that what is one thing you can do today? And it's like it's that old adage, you can't steer a parked car. Like you're not going to go anywhere if you're not moving. So you got to be proactive. You got to take action. You got to move toward what you want. And um as you go, opportunities will show up if
Yep.
that's what your intention is. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, that being proactive is it's not a strategy just to wait.
Absolutely. Like,
And hope it pops into your lap. It
yeah.
doesn't happen like that.
Yeah, exactly. Waiting is not a fucking strategy. I know you put out those chakra crystals and have the juice of the world come to you, but no, that's bullshit. Like, I know you don't do that. Like,
Yeah.
but
Well,
you can't just
still
sit
kind
there.
of do that, but I don't wait.
There's a difference between sitting and visualizing and wanting those things versus sitting and visualizing and wanting those things and doing something about it.
Yeah.
Like, you still have to create the action that, allows those things to come into your life. Thoughts become things, but only after actions, period.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it is, 100%.
Yeah, it's getting clear on the thought. I think that's the balance of it, right? Like the chakras, the crystals, the meditations, the yogas, whatever
Yeah.
whatever the spiritual practice is.
Absolutely.
Like there's a balance there, right? It's like and I think that even in the action part, if you lose out on the spirit part and you're not intuitive about what you're doing, then you're also going to miss opportunities. So it's like having a balance of both.
Absolutely. No, 100%. 100%. And that thinking outside the box, I think, is a huge part that creates that opportunity. You have to consistently look, consistently try and find things that just aren't obvious in front of you. And that creativity, what makes you is going to create those opportunities or create that ability to see opportunities around you. That innovation is a huge core value in Genesis. And sometimes having to be a little bit innovative or a little bit creative is extremely important. And I was listening to a podcast last night about the head chief innovator at Disney. And this guy has got a very cool story, amazing, all these different things that he did at Disney pretty much to just get away with things. And it started with him being a 21-year-old handler for a character handler. Essentially, a character handler is the person that always like walks with one of the characters in Disney to make sure like if they fall or like, hey, watch for that crack in the road, or hey, like stop and give this little boy or girl a hug, etc. So the handler is always talking with the character because the characters don't talk obviously to anybody in the park. So he tells a story about how he was supposed to, take, I think it was Donald or Daisy Duck to meet Princess Elizabeth. And he was supposed to walk them down the stairs. Now, they didn't measure how big the stairs were for, a character. So he's like, I went to walk Donald down the stairs and he just started fucking tumbling towards Princess Diana, right? And so he's careening towards Diana and the Queen. And I have to look it up, but he said there's photos of, two royal guardsmen like tackling Donald like before he takes out the Queen and Princess Diana, and like they like tackle his ass to the ground. They're all pissed off at him and like, what the fuck you doing? And at the same time, like they took all these pictures and it was posted. And he got a call from the, I believe it was the CMO, Chief Marketing Officer of Disney, a week later. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm definitely fucking fired. And the CMO was like, that was awesome. That was the best publicity ever. Like, what else can you think of? So essentially, he said, for the rest of my career, I just made up crazy shit that Disney could get in the news about. And like, that's what I did. So he said the longest serving astronaut in forever, like 18 months, consecutive months in space, the longest serving astronaut in space, who do you think it is? Who is it? Scott Kelly? Scott Kelly? Yeah? You think so? What do you think,
I have
Amanda?
no idea.
It's Buzz Lightyear. Commander Buzz Lightyear. Yeah. So Disney convinced NASA to send Buzz Lightyear up into space. And so he sent his little boys, Buzz Lightyear, up into space. And after about 18 months, they were like, we want to bring him home. Disney's like, I want to bring him home. And NASA's like, are you fucking crazy? Because, the amount of money for like any weight coming back into the atmosphere has to be accounted for with fuel and trajectory and all that stuff.
So it was just floating out in space.
No. He was at the space station. He was at the International Space Station the entire time. So he served as an astronaut with the International Space Station with like 6 different crews over the course of 19 months.
Okay.
And so, coming back into the atmosphere, they have the flight logs of, Colonel so-and-so, First Lieutenant blah, 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 and, seat number 3, Commander Buzz Lightyear.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, it was an awesome story. Innovation, like thinking outside the box. Brought him back into the U.S., right? Landed, and now he's in the NASA Space Museum. The Commander Buzz Lightyear is there in a box, like given by James, age 8. And he is on the flight logs because, again, you have to have it on the flight log to bring anything out or into the atmosphere because of just like the weights and the fuel compensation, all that stuff. He is on the flight log, Commander Buzz Lightyear, the longest serving astronaut ever.
I love it.
Yeah. So again, that's something that was completely innovative. That was just like an opportunity that was innovative. And him being now the chief and innovator, chief innovator, like they have a whole position for it, which would be really cool for Genesis when I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
All he does is come up with innovative things that Disney should be doing. All sorts of innovative things. Like they built an Olympic-sized swimming pool on Main Street so Michael Phelps could swim in it in front of everybody. I mean, he came up with all these crazy ideas that Disney just did and again, was the best publicity ever. So those really creative, wild things are going to be really good publicity. And I know during our corporate event this last week, one of the managers or leaders had a question of, well, what if we make ads or do things that are considered unprofessional? Who the fuck cares? Like, it gets eyes. It gets, like, your mind going, and people want to be a part of something that's different. They want to learn about something that's different. They want to go to a medical provider that's different, because the medical provider that's different is like them. They're fucking different. They're not on a pedestal. The provider's not on a pedestal wearing a white coat being super stuffy. They are people just like you and I. Mm-hmm. They are the same as everyone else. And that creativity is going to garner eyeballs, period.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go down the political path too a little bit here, because in that, one of the things I really appreciated about the inauguration was the fact that Vance had his kids there.
Yeah, that was cool.
I've never seen that before.
Really?
His kids are falling asleep, or Elon Musk has
slapping your face and shit like that. It's like
Elon Musk has his kid on his head in the meetings, picking his nose, picking his fingers.
And the kid's a little crazy. The kid's like, you're not the president. Like, he's kind of fucking crazy. like it seems like something my kids would
say. Elon Musk is like, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. He had his finger in my ear.
Yeah.
It's just, whether you agree or not with the political landscape, that type of stuff is relatable.
Yep.
And it's nice because normal people go, oh, that's a normal thing. So, being able to be creative, that's cool about Disney. I didn't know that about Buzz Lightyear. How fun.
Yeah, I did not know that either. So it's wild. It's wild, those different, really innovative things. Another podcast I listened to, Founders, did the history of Jerry Jones. And listening to the history of Jerry Jones, things that were innovative back then are like commonplace now. One of the big things is that when he bought the Cowboys, they had all of the suites, right? and they had sold, I believe, 6% of the suites total. Like the Cowboys were losing $8 million a year when he bought them. And Jerry leveraged his entire savings and went and got a bank loan to cover the cost. I think it was $120 million to buy the Cowboys. They were losing $8 million a year.
Wow.
So one of the innovative things he did in the stadium was that all the suites hadn't been sold. So he like made the prices way more attractive to bigger companies and made them all into like business suites. And then the press box was at the 50-yard line, like the biggest suite at the 50-yard line. And he's like, fuck this. Why are these people at the, like that? I'm giving away the prime real estate to the press box. Like, no, he moved the press box to like the 5-yard line. He's like, you can still fucking see the game and you can still do your press, but I'm moving you over to the 5-yard line in a smaller box. And then he sold, obviously, the main presidential box on the 50-yard line. There was no advertisements in football stadiums. 0 advertisements in football stadiums back then. So he got all of the local companies to pay for advertising in the football stadium, you know, and you're like, well, who would pay for that back then? There was no, well, fucking beer companies, tobacco companies, like all the things that you would, you know, clothing companies, all the things that you would buy to go to the game or buy at the game were doing their marketing at the game. So those are all things that when you go now, it's like, that's normal, right? That's the normal thing now. But that was all innovative, creative thinking that obviously made the Cowboys into a multi-billion-dollar industry. Now, you can't imagine what they would actually be worth if they fucking were good. But those are all super innovative ideas that were creative, thinking outside the box. That's like, well, it wasn't we're going to do this way because that's what's always been done. It's like, let's challenge the status quo and come up with something completely different that nobody has ever seen before. And as a result, it has become this massive, massive brand.
Yeah, it's like getting a fresh perspective. You know, for for somebody who's like, okay, I want to embark on this life of seeing opportunities, how do you think, or is there something you feel like could be helpful in them just walking into their environment or situation or experience and seeing it with a fresh perspective? Like, how do you teach that? Can it be taught? Like, you have to see things with a fresh perspective?
I don't know if you can be taught. Like well, let's see. I think that almost like quitting an addiction, quitting alcohol, quitting drugs, you cannot force someone to do it. They have to come around to themselves to start thinking that way. It is exactly like a mindset. You maybe have that friend, maybe that friend's out of your life right now, or you have that person where you're around and they're always fucking melancholy. Oh, this is terrible, or I have to do this, or I have to do that, or this is, you know, awful, or they're always like bummed about everything and they're a fucking time suck and a life drain from you. That we all have that person who's around that you just don't want to be around a lot. And it's that same thing. If you could try and convince that person fucking of anything better than like my life sucks, and they would never believe you because internally they're just that's their mindset, that's the way they do things, that's the way they're clicking, and so it's going to be difficult for them to ever do that. If they internally changed their mindset and started to believe it, yeah, then they'd be open to it. And it's the same thing. I don't think you can teach people, but I think if they hang around, again, you're some of the 5 people around you, if you create a culture that's, hey, let's look at things differently, let's be creative, let's test boundaries, I think people will start to naturally try and do it. They'll start to believe it. They'll start to see, oh, okay, like this is different here. So you have to cultivate that in your business. You have to cultivate that in your home, that it's okay to be wrong and be different and stuff like that. And that's a huge part of self-esteem as well. Like you have to teach not only your kids, but your staff and your team how to have self-esteem, because they don't. A lot of times they do not. Kids don't have self-esteem when they start out. Like the self-esteem is built up. Like they don't even know what fucking self-esteem is. They're just like, I'm me. But as they grow older, they get told no, or they get told they're weird, or they get bullied and stuff like that. And that's why, like, I'm gonna say something real fucking controversial here. Like, all the anti-bullying stuff is like fucking bullshit. Because if all the anti-bullying people really focused on like self-esteem and building up people's self-esteem rather than like, that kid's a bully, like we should like say stop bullying. No, we should go work on this kid's self-esteem. So when that bully says something to him, like, it just fucking rolls off his back. Like, that's creating resilience. You know, I got bullied really bad in fucking school. I was smaller than everybody else. You know, I didn't know how to talk to girls. Like, I played soccer, which back then was fucking gay. You know, like, it wasn't good, but I loved the game and stuff. But it wasn't a problem because my parents really, really taught me self-esteem. Really, really taught me that, like, I am who I am. This is okay. Grow up this way. You're going to be, you know, people are going to talk shit about you. And bullying is all over. Like, everybody gets bullied. Everybody gets bullied. Like, because humans are just like, and kids are even worse. Like, just humans are terrible, but kids are even worse. They're like a different type of human. So like, building up self-esteem as much as you possibly can will essentially stop bullying. Because if you don't get any rise out of a bully, they just fucking go away. It's like social media. If somebody doesn't respond to these people that are like typing angry Kermit, you know, if you just don't respond, they just keep talking to themselves and then they just stop because they're not getting a rise out of you.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes it's fun to respond to those people just because I'm laughing and they get really angry and they're just typing away. And I'm just like, this is hilarious. I'm going to see how like, you are totally boosting my algorithm because you're interacting with me. So I'm like, I'm going to boost the shit out of my algorithm right now, going back and forth with you. But, you know, that being said, I don't know where the fuck I was going with that or how we got off on that tangent.
Yeah.
But what was it? What were we talking about? Creativity. Your creativity breeds opportunity. Be yourself, you know, grow into yourself, but create that culture. That's what it was about.
And
create that culture.
Perspective.
Create that culture and perspective. In home, create it in your work environment, and you will have a really cool, innovative business.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that you tell our clinic directors and teams is like, walk into the clinic and see it from a fresh perspective. Look around. Look at things you wouldn't normally look at. Instead of just coming in and going into the back and putting your stuff down and getting behind the computer, look around. What does the client see? Look at the ceiling. Look at the walls. Like, actually walk through the clinic as if you're your client and see what needs updated. See if something needs fixed. See if paint needs repaired. You know, like, look at things with a fresh perspective. And I think of this one exercise that we do in Avatar, the course I'm involved in. It's called Baby Eyes. And it's where you think about kids, they go into a room or an environment and everything is like, they lock in on certain things, you know, and it's like they're seeing things for the first time because many times they are seeing it for the first time.
Right.
But they go in and they're just so like, you know, it's pure awareness. Their mind isn't busy. They're not assessing that tree's ugly. They're just like, that tree, there's that tree, you know, or all the labels or judgments that we put on people and on things around us. They don't have that, you know, so it's like this clean, clear energy and space that they're operating in all the time. And, you know, they feel things. It's like, you know, your kids are 3 now. It's like they don't have those judgments and assessments that we have, but they can feel if somebody's a good person or not. They can, you know, they're constantly in a state of feel, but they're taking so much in. And it's like being willing to do that, letting go of judgments, letting go of ideas of what's right or what's wrong, or, you know, labels that we put on things. You just really see things as they are. You know, the tree's not big, small, ugly, pretty. It's none of those things. It's a tree. What is it? It's a tree.
Yeah.
I could put all kinds of labels on it, you know, but But if I want to see it from a fresh perspective,
Yep.
see something I haven't seen before, see something new, I have to see it without all the other shit attached to it.
Yep.
And I think that when I think about taking that into business, you have to slow down long enough to be present with your environment and your experience. And when you're present, truly present without all the other stuff, you do see things that you haven't seen before.
Yeah.
And so it slows down the mind and it allows you to connect with what's really around you. And that's when, that's when I think the excitement comes, because it's like, hey, I haven't noticed that if I look at it from this angle, it looks a little bit darker. But if I look at it from this angle, it looks a little bit lighter. And, it's the way the light is shining in from the window. I didn't, that's pretty. That's new. That's different. And so taking everything in life and business that way. Yeah.
So I'm going to try and bring this home with these 2 fucking dogs in my lap. Here you go.
I told a whole story with them in my lap.
I know.
Poking my face and hitting the...
You were doing good. Yeah. I don't know what's wrong with them today. They're going crazy.
Maybe you're pregnant.
Yeah, maybe I'm pregnant. Yeah. Oh, God. It is 2024, right? Or 2025. Final thing on opening the doors of opportunity and, to close out this podcast is really all through this, no matter what, whether you're a business owner, whether you're a father or a mother or a husband or a wife or whatever, the biggest, most important part of being an entrepreneur, of building a business, of, again, being a father or mother or whatever, sister, brother, etc., is going to be persistence. It's going to be grit. And there's that study out there now that showed that, children who were highly, highly successful, grew up to become highly successful adults. Their main characteristic that they had wasn't like intelligence or love or anything like that. It was just pure grit. Just raw, pure determination. Can do, no matter how many times I'm going to get kicked in the fucking face, I am going to keep moving forward. I am going to keep pushing. And that is what you have to be an entrepreneur. Like there's the, I'm going to give up mentality. This isn't for me mentality. There's the questions of like, is this really for me? Should I be doing this? And as a business owner who's only done this a very short amount of time, like a little over 5 years now. Like grit is the number one thing that you need to have in order to keep growing and to blow open the doors of opportunity. That is it. Anything else, you have to be just too stupid to be like, this is not for me. You just have to be so dumb that failure is not an option. It's not even a question. It's not even a choice. It's just like, no, I'm too stupid to even say the word quit. Like I just don't have it in me. And you just can't fucking have it in you. And at the same time, you have to be willing to go back to square one. Like with all the knowledge I have about business now, all the ways to build a business, all the ways that now I can, I know how to finance a company with $0. Like I don't need the money anymore to rebuild a brand. Like I will fucking go back to sleeping in that foyer just to fucking beat you. So like, where are you on that spectrum when you're thinking about being a business owner? Because there's going to be people in your field that are like that. And so if you're not willing to do that, you're not going to fucking make it. Period. You're not going to make it. You might build a okay business that can pay your bills, but you have to work in it every single day. That's called a job. But if you're not willing to just fucking put everything in, not have money some months, not have to consistently have to worry about, where you're going to get money for your staff, like wake up every single day, whether you want to or not, to push the business forward, you're just not going to fucking make it. That grit and that determination and that outlast is really just the outlast of everyone else around you. That's what's going to make you successful. A lot of businesses, 90% of businesses fail within the first year. And then there's an extra percentage that fail after 5 years. And then after 10 years, the actual failure rate goes down significantly. It's because you've just fucking outlasted. You've outlasted. You've been through ups and downs and lefts and rights and, upheavals and split partnerships and everything like that. After 10 years, again, you just outlasted. And at that point, there's almost nothing that could come your way that you hadn't already seen before that you can navigate.
So awesome. This has been an incredible conversation. And if you are listening and have gotten anything out of it, please comment, like, and share it. Let us know what you thought. And if you're listening and you want more strategies on how to create success in your life and business, visit dralexbonoso.com. Connect with Dr. Alex on Instagram at dralexbonoso.com. Tips, insights, inspirations, free courses on the website, and the newest add-on to everything you're doing is Join Charismatics. That's your mastermind, your medical mastermind.
Yep.
So if you want to join Charismatics, go to joincharismatics.com, find out more, and get a ton of this kind of stuff, practical, useful insights that you can take to grow your own business.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening.
See you next time.